Imagine living in a world filled with trash. Imagine going outside and the only thing on the ground you see is garbage because landfills are everywhere. This will happen to our Earth one day if we don't recycle, reduce the amount of waste we produce, and stop using landfills.
So you're walking down the street with an empty water bottle in your hand and you toss it in a trash can thinking it's one bottle. It's not the end of the world if I don't recycle it. Well, that one little bottle can make a big difference. Plastics, and specifically plastic bottles, are one of the fastest growing elements of the municipal waste in America. The Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, estimates that as much as 12% of all U.S. solid waste is plastic products. That's a lot, and it's something we can actually do something about. Water bottles are typically made of polyethylene terephthalate, or PET, and it's delightfully easy to recycle and reuse. When a PET bottle is recycled, it's sent to a facility where it is ground down into flakes, cleaned, then melted into small pellets. Those pellets can then be used to make new bottles, a far more energy and cost-efficient process than making a new bottle from raw materials, or recycled into something different. When a PET bottle isn't recycled, it goes to a landfill, and because it's not biodegradable, it will sit there forever, taking up space and letting material that could be reused just sit there. The average American uses about 167 bottles of water each year. With about 316 million people living in this fair country, that amounts to 52,772,000,000 plastic bottles every year. And of those 167 bottles, that average American only recycles 38 bottles. So that's about 12,008,000,000 recycled around the country. That means a little more than 40 billion bottles end up in landfills, which is equivalent to more than $1 billion in plastics. Granted, plastic water bottles are convenient. It's great to be able to grab a bottle when you're rushing through an airport and stay hydrated, but we need to stop throwing them all away. About 7.4 cubic yards of landfill space is saved for every ton of plastic that is recycled, which is good, though we're not exactly experiencing a landfill shortage. Though the number of landfills in America have decreased in the last 2 decades from nearly 8,000 sites to a little over 1,600, the average size has actually increased, meaning they can store more materials. But recovery of materials, like plastic bottles sent for recycling, has also increased in the same time frame. And we can keep that trend going. If every person held on to one bottle for a little longer until they found a recycling bin, we could save both resources and space. It's a really small thing to do, but the impact is significant.
First of all, recycling is the process where waste is converted into usable materials. Recycling is important because waste has a huge negative impact on the natural environment. Harmful chemicals and greenhouse gases are released from the garbage in landfill sites. Recycling helps to reduce the pollution caused by waste. If we don't recycle, then the pollution will go up and harm the environment. An article stated that Americans used about 50 billion plastic water bottles last year. However, the U.S.'s recycling rate for plastic is only 23%, which means 38 billion water bottles, more than 1 billion worth of plastic, are wasted each year. We waste so much plastic and just throw it away after we use it instead of recycling it. If every person recycled, then we would save so much energy and money. Recycling is necessary to keep the earth safe, and it prevents pollution, landfills, and it keeps down the amount of waste each human produces. There are so many easy ways to recycle. Every single person could do something every day that will benefit our earth. One thing that is beneficial is to make a compost pile. A compost pile is a pile of food that decomposes to produce compost. It is very easy to have a compost pile because after every meal, all you have to do is put your leftovers in the pile, which then will decompose and produce compost. Another easy thing humans can do is buy products that are made from reused or recycled materials. It's good to buy these products because they are a great way of reducing energy, water use, and waste. The easiest thing to do is to use a reusable water bottle. This would save so much plastic and would be so good for the earth. Some people don't care where their trash goes, and the waste that isn't recycled is either put on the streets, beaches, or countrysides. This is not good because it harms the wildlife. Plastic bags left outside can be broken up into smaller pieces, which then can be consumed by birds or fish, which gives them the risk of being choked. Small animals can also get stuck in cans or bottles and can get trapped and starve. Glass left in the open can start huge fires, which ruins the wildlife and ruins huge areas of land. Recycling is very important because it saves energy and reduces the amount of waste each human produces. And if we don't recycle, then we are in trouble. People need to recycle more of their household waste instead of just leaving it or throwing it outside because it can be very harmful to the environment. Here's what we can do to help our planet and our environment.
So what can you do? Never drop litter. Remember, it doesn't just look horrible, it's a danger to wild and domestic animals. If there's no litter bin, then take it home. At home, help your parents with recycling your rubbish. If you have a drink from a can, put it straight in the recycling bin and save your mum having to do it. Do the same with paper and card. Better to let your parents deal with the glass bottles though. Learn about which plastics are recyclable. They should have this symbol on them if they are. Make sure they go in the plastics recycling. Be careful not to put things in that don't have the symbol, because that will spoil a whole load and it may prevent it from being recycled. You can also recycle clothes, mobile phones and most old toys. Every little bit that goes into the recycling bin means less in landfill. Be careful with old batteries. When they start to decompose, poisonous chemicals leak out. Take them to your local waste recycling site and put them in the special bin provided. These things really do make a difference. If everyone did them, we'd be well on our way to solving the problem.
And lastly, this is the process of how plastic bottles are
In
recycled.
Britain, we use 15 million plastic bottles a day. Most of these can be recycled into really useful things. Here's how. Bottles are separated from other rubbish by hand or machine. The bottles are then cleaned and sorted by plastic type using infrared. They are then sorted by colour: blue, natural, green and mixed. And are shredded, melted and reformed into pellets, which can then be used to make fencing, plastic bags or more bottles.
We need to stop using landfills because they get bigger every day from the huge amount of waste each human produces. Landfills take in tons of waste every day, and they are not a pretty sight either. Beauty Hills Landfill in Los Angeles, California, covering roughly 700 acres and towering almost 500 feet high, Los Angeles' largest landfill. Beauty Hill takes in 12,000 tons of garbage a day and currently holds 3.7 million tons. This is a huge amount of trash, and it's only going to get bigger. Not only are these landfills ugly, they release toxins. Methane and carbon dioxide make up to 90 to 98% of landfill gas. In an article about how harmful landfills are, it stated that the rotting garbage also releases significant amounts of methane, a greenhouse gas 20 times more potent than carbon dioxide, straight up into the atmosphere. These toxins are leaching into our soil and groundwater, harming us and also the wildlife. Here is what actually happens in a landfill, and this is how these toxins get into our atmosphere.
So how does a modern landfill work? Imagine a giant plastic bathtub in the ground. Trash is added to the open tub and covered each day with daily cover, such as contaminated soil or ground-up construction debris. As time goes by, more and more trash is piled on, and more highly toxic methane gas builds up as the trash decomposes. This is when you start to get that trash smell. You know the one. Any water that's in the trash, or any rain or snow that seeps through the cover, starts to trickle down through the garbage. When water and waste are mixed, it creates a toxic, poisonous soup called leachate. Leachate contains all the dangerous stuff that's in a lot of what people throw in the trash. The tens of thousands of chemicals, heavy metals, and other toxic materials found in electronics, batteries, prescription drugs, and plastics, just to name a few.
We need to limit the amount of waste we produce because if we don't, the amount of trash in landfills will increase. It is also very bad for the earth to keep throwing away all our waste because then we will have to make all the products from scratch instead of making it from reused materials, which is much better for the earth. A recent World Bank report projected that the amount of solid waste generated globally will nearly double by the year 2025, going from 3.5 million tons to 6 million tons per day. We need to control the amount of waste we produce because if we don't, we will just be in trouble. Lastly, we would save so much energy if we didn't make products from scratch and made them from reused products. In order to keep our earth safe, we need to stop throwing everything away in the garbage and we need to recycle more. If we continue to throw our waste away without consideration about what could happen, then the future generations will live in garbage here on Earth. Landfill sites need to stop expanding because more trash will be layered on top of each other and toxins will fill our atmosphere. Recycling is necessary to keep our environment safe, and it's important to understand what could happen if we don't take action.